Thank you, Jamie Lee. I mean, speaking of that topic, I think we are connecting virtually with educational psychologist Dr. Sharon Aitken to talk about how to keep our memory sharp. Dr. Sharon, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you, and I'm really hoping my memory is going to work this early in the morning.
Oh, you know, can I tell you what happened this past weekend? Growing up, I was so proud of the fact that I knew everyone's home numbers. Now I can tell you I know my mom and dad's cell phone number, I know my own and my home number. And I'm shocked at how bad my memory has become. Why should we want to improve our memory?
I think for exactly that kind of reason, you know, you suddenly start losing information that you used to have. And it actually stresses you out. It's quite embarrassing, especially when you can't remember somebody's name, especially after you've just been introduced to them. But improving your memory just generally makes you a lot more effective when you're talking to people, when you're trying to get your work done. Just forgetting things is time consuming because you have to go find out what it was that you forgot. Even like me walking into the kitchen going, oh my word, what was it that I came in here for? You've got to walk out again until your memory triggers. So it's just very time consuming and ineffective and embarrassing.
It is, and I think we also get very worked up because, you know, we never had an issue with our memory and now all of a sudden we're struggling to remember things. Could this partly be because we have so many things we're juggling at once? I mean, Dr. Sharon, what is the best way we can go about improving our memory?
I think one of the things you've got to remember is your brain is just part of your whole body. So you've got to look after your personal health. So you can't just treat the brain or the memory in isolation. You've got to make sure that you're physically active, that you are eating well, that you are getting sufficient sleep. Sleep is so important. I hear people bragging all the time about how little sleep that they can actually function with, and it's really not healthy. It's a sort of a form of torture. So sleep is really, really important. And then, as I said, exercise, diet, and as you said, reduce stress. If we're trying to juggle too many things at one time, we are going to start forgetting things.
Okay, well, it's always like that. You won't be able to keep all the balls up in the air. Now, Dr. Sharon, I wanted to know, how can we get better at the process of learning itself? Like, how can we get better at just remembering someone's name? Are there any tips or tricks? Because I'm terrible at it and you get embarrassed.
Yeah, I think what we've got to remember is that there's different types of memory, and if we just keep it really simple, we've got your short-term or immediate memory where you hold things in your head for a very short period of time. You have your long-term memory, which is what you're trying to use when you're studying, and you have your working memory, which is your ability to hold information in your head and manipulate it. And those things require different techniques. So if we're looking at remembering somebody's a name in the short term, and we're going to only have to hold that or a cell phone number for like 18 seconds or so, then what you've got to do really is be present. You can't be thinking about, when you're introduced to somebody, what are they wearing? What do they look like? You can't have all of that in your head. You've actually got to focus on their name. Repeat their name maybe to yourself 2 or 3 times. I know it's been suggested that if you actually repeat their name when you introduce yourself, so it's even in your short-term memory, a little bit of repetition can really, really help you. But you've got to be present and be focused and listen to what somebody's actually saying to you.
Oh, you're hitting the nail on the head. It's all about being present, and you're absolutely right. Now, Dr. Sharon, is there an art to memorizing?
Yes, there is an art to memorizing, and there are some study companies that will make a lot of money teaching you how to do this. But I think the first and foremost, whether you're an adult or a child and you're actually trying to get information into your long-term memory, the key factor is to first of all make sure you understand what it is that you are learning. Memorization without understanding is an awfully long process, and then you actually cannot apply it. So the first thing is to understand the information. If you're a learner at school or a student, and then what you've got to do is, as you are being taught through the year, you want to be internalizing the information on a daily basis. So long-term memory is about the daily repetition. Your short-term memory is gone so fast.
Yeah.
So if you're not repeating it on a daily basis, you're in big trouble. And that's why I don't advocate that students start learning only 3 weeks before the exams. That terminology should be learned from the beginning of the year all the way through. However, on top of that, if you've got to learn things in a specific order, there are really clever techniques like mnemonics. So mnemonics are things like when you say read of your dream book in verse to remember the order of the alphabet. Listen to my memory this morning. The colors of the rainbow. And then there's a lot of different other visualization techniques that you can use, such as a picture or chains of pictures in a row so that you can keep things organized. You can there's so many different techniques that you can use, but understanding must come first, and then you use the memory techniques. They are the cherry on the top of the cake.
Definitely. Well, Dr. Sharon, we appreciate your insights. Thank you for joining us and giving us all of these tips to help us on improving our memory. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing quickly?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so what I discovered when my memory was not doing so well the other day, about 2 years ago, there are amazing apps that you can download that have lots of puzzles and games and things. So if you're an older person and you're not actually studying, but you want to improve your brain functioning, you actually can use those apps. If you can't get an app where you don't like to be on your screen so much, you can also do lots of crosswords and puzzles and all those kinds of things. Learn a new musical instrument, learn a new language. All of that improves your memory.
Oh, thank you for that, Dr. Sharon. Of course, keeping the mind active. And there you have it, some tips on how to improve your memory and keep it fresh from educational psychologist, Dr. Sharon Aitken.